Jungkook sat in his mansion, in his room, typing something on his laptop with a serious expression, his focus entirely on his work. His fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, and his eyes scanned the display intently. Despite his focus on his laptop, could not fully concentrate. He found himself glancing at his phone from time to time, checking for a message but not daring to send it himself. He kept his phone within eyesight, expecting a notification, hoping to hear from the one he yearned to receive a message from. Jungkook, his attention span waning, could not continue working with his mind constantly distracted. He let out a frustrated groan and closed his laptop. Grabbing his phone instead, his impatience and anticipation building. Why is this happening to me? Why can't I stop thinking about her? She is her sister. She is my secretary. Why I am so frustrated. His internal conflict was evident in his frown, brow and clenched jaw. His frustration building. Jungkook, his finger hovering over her name on his phone, ready to call her. But before he could make the call, his room door opened, startling him. He quickly cut the call, his frustration increasing, his attention shifting towards the person entering uninvited. His expression annoyed, looked up at his dad who entered without knocking. Jungkook, you should have knocked first, he said annoyed, his phone still in his hand. His dad, unfazed by his tone, walked in, a stoic expression on his face. Jungkook put his phone aside, giving his father his attention, though his mind still lingered on his unresolved thoughts. Mr. June, I am here because you should start preparation and shopping for your marriage. The date is approaching and you have not given Sophia the attention she deserves. I know you well. Jungkook sighed, his mood already sore. Knowing the purpose of his father's sudden visit, he leaned back in his chair, expecting a lecture about his lack of involvement in arrangements for his upcoming marriage with Sophia. Jungkook, despite the arranged marriage, had come to realize Sophia's true nature. He knew her well and understood that she was a gold digger. Jungkook's father, with a firm tone, ordered, Mr. Jun, go with her tomorrow to buy her bridal dress. Jungkook's expression full of contempt scoffed at his father's order. He looked at him and retorted, Jungkook, I have other work to do. His tone dismissive. If she wants the dress, she can go by herself. I will give her my card as usual. Jungkook's father, his tone authoritative and unyielding, firmly assertive. Mr. Jun, I said you have to go with her. End of discussion. You have to go with her and that's final. He then turned and exited the room without giving Jungkook a chance to argue further. His jaw clenched, his teeth gritted with a mixture of anger and frustration. He knew he had to marry Sophia for the sake of the legacy, but inside he despised the idea of being tied to her. His mind was made up to divorce her once he had the legacy in his hands. Suddenly he smiled just for a moment. His frustration subsided, for a moment replaced by a different reason to call Vian. He grabbed his phone, finding a purpose to call her. Vian, in her apartment, was engaged in conversation with Barik, discussing their usual matters when her phone rang. She looked at the call, seeing Jungkook's name on the display, her expression changing with faint surprise. Vian, her eyes on the phone, said to Barik, Vian, I will call you later. She then quickly ended the call, answering Jungkook's call instead. Jungkook, as soon as the call connected, he rushed to speak. His voice was polite. Jungkook, I hope I did not disturb your sleep, Miss Vian. His tone carried a touch of anticipation, awaiting her response. She surprisingly looked at the phone screen and responded formally, her tone businesslike, as her professional nature as his secretary took over. Why, no, sir, I was not sleeping, she replied. He mentally slapped himself to sound like that stupid. Keeping his tone formal, Jungkook, okay, he responded, his voice steady. maintaining the professional facade. I wanted to say that you have to go with me tomorrow. Where, sir? Ignoring her question, his voice commanding, gave his instruction. Jungkook, send me your address. He ordered. I will pick you up tomorrow at 9. Jungkook, after giving his instruction, did not wait for Ryan's response. He quickly cut the call, leaving her without any chance to speak up or respond. Her eyes on the disconnected call, muttered to herself with slight frustration. Ryan, at least tell me where we have to go, she said, looking at the disconnected call. At morning, just as Ryan was getting ready for the day, the doorbell suddenly chimed. She paused for a moment, wondering who it could be. She went to open the door and was surprised to find Jungkook standing there. Her eyes widened as she saw him, feeling a bit self-conscious in her pajamas, prepared to change after getting ready. Ryan, sir, you said at 9, but you are here early, she stated, her words holding a touch of surprise and a hint of embarrassment. His eyes taking in her appearance, could not deny that she looked cute, but he maintained his professional tone. Jungkook, in my dictionary, 9 is 8:30, he stated, a hint of stubbornness in his voice, her eyes expressing disbelief, muted with slight annoyance. Ryan, where did you find that nonsense dictionary? She questioned his logic of considering 9 as 8:30. Jungkook's glare met Ryan's, his eyes a mix of authority and sternness. Ryan, feeling the weight of his stare, swallowed nervously. Ryan, I mean, why are you standing there? Come inside, she said, gesturing for him to enter. Jungkook, taking matter into his own hands, sat on the sofa before Ryan could invite him to. His authoritative nature showed, as the maid himself comfortable before she could suggest a seat. Jungkook, hurry up, Miss Ryan, I am getting late. Ryan, just give me 5 minutes, I will be back, sir. She quickly rushed to her room to change, leaving him on the sofa. Ryan quickly went to change. Jungkook sat alone on the sofa, his eyes scanning her apartment. It was small in size but had a cozy and comfortable vibe to it. After some time, he is behind the wheel, navigated the car through the traffic. Ryan beside him. The ride was silent as he focused on the road. The air between them held an awkward tension. Ryan, where are we going, sir? She asked. Jungkook's shopping for my marriage, he responded. Ryan, her eyes locked on him, felt her chest constrict at the mention of his marriage to Sophia. Her mind was flooded with the reality of the impending wedding, a reminder that she had temporarily forget. Ryan bit her lips, her self-restraint the only thing preventing her from breaking down. Tears threatened to spill as she turned her gaze towards the window, trying to mask her emotions by looking outside. Jungkook, glancing at Ryan, noticed her change in expression at her biting her lip. Worried, he asked, Jungkook, what happened? His attention momentarily away from the road as he focused on her. Ryan, her eyes still fixed on the window, avoided looking at Jungkook. She replied, Ryan, nothing, sir. Jungkook, his eyes flickered to her again, seeing her avoiding his gaze. He sighed, focusing his attention back on the road. The car pulled the parking lot of the mall, and as they entered, Sophia was already waiting. Her presence added another layer of tension to the situation. Sophia, sporting Ryan, approached Jungkook, her tone carrying annoyance. Sophia, what is she doing here? Sophia voiced her displeasure, addressing Jungkook with a glare towards Ryan. Jungkook, she is your sister. Maybe she can help you, but she is my secretary. I need her for all matters, he stated firmly, shutting down Sophia's objection. Ryan, listening to his words, felt a strange flutter in her stomach. His firm insistence on her presence caused an unexpected physical response, her emotions swirling within her. Jungkook, alright, go already. He gestured for them to begin shopping, his voice impatient and authoritative. I don't have much time for the shopping. Vian, her phone buzzing, looked at the caller ID and excused herself. Sir, you go ahead, she said, stopping aside. I will be back. Within the bridal boutique, Sophia was excitedly trying on different outfits, seeking Jungkook's opinion on each one, yet he showed little interest. She eagerly modeled the bridal dresses, seekingly his approval, but Jungkook was disengaged, simply stating, Jungkook, choose already. Vine entered the boutique, her eyes scanning the area. She spotted Sophia and made her way towards her, approaching with a composed expression. Vine. Oh no, Sophia, she said, gesturing towards another dress. Not this one. That one looks more elegant and beautiful. Go try this one. She gestured toward a different gown. Sophia, arching an eyebrow, gave Vine a skeptical look. Their dislike for each other was implicit, and Sophia was not used to Vine offering any positive suggestion. She glanced at Vine, her suspicion apparent. Vine, maintaining a polite tone, offered her reasoning. Vine, I was just giving you some advice, she said. It's your day, and every girl wants to look beautiful on her special day. Her words, all too true, carried an underlying tension. Vine's suggestion was genuine, but Sophia's suspicion remained. Sophia, picking up the gown Vine recommended, went to the changing room. Meanwhile, Vine, having done her part, went to sit by Jungkook, her expression guarded. Jungkook, while Sophia tried on the gown, briefly glanced at Vine, seated next to him. She was engrossed in something on her phone, her eyes locked on the screen as she read. Jungkook, do you read novels? He asked, his curiosity piqued by her engrossed expression. Vine looked up from her phone, smiling at Jungkook. Vine, yes, she responded, her eyes gleaming with admiration. I don't know how they write so beautifully. I always wanted to write just like them, she admitted, her voice filled with ambition and a hint of vulnerability. Jungkook, his gaze meeting hers, his eyes holding a softer expression. His tone of voice was different from his usual authoritative demeanor. Jungkook, you don't need to be like them, he said, his words surprising himself as well as Vian. His eyes held a different quality, almost gentle. She, taken aback by his change in expression and tone, held Jungkook's gaze, her eyes meeting his. She responded softly, seeking an explanation. Vian, why? Jungkook, because you are what makes writers write. You are the writer's art, he replied, expressing his profound thought. His compliment lingered in the air, holding a weight of genuine admiration and a slight vulnerability in his own words. His words hit a sensitive spot, causing Vian's cheeks to flush a warm shade of red. She gazed at him, her eyes meeting his, unsure of how he responded. His sincerity and unusual compliment made her heart skip a beat, but she tried to hide her embarrassment, trying to maintain a composed exterior. Sophia, emerging from the trial room in the newly chosen gown, interrupted the moment. Vine hesitantly broke eye contact with Jungkook, focusing her gaze on Sophia instead, trying to hide her flushed cheeks. But Jungkook, still looking at her, continued to observe her. She, composing herself, turned her attention to Sophia. Pushing past her own embarrassment, she tried to maintain her professional tone, saying, Vine, I told you that gown is beautiful. While her tone was neutral, her voice was a bit more shaky than usual, her mind still reeling from Jungkook's unexpected words. Jungkook, redirecting his attention from Vine, turned to the salesperson standing nearby, issuing a command. Jungkook, go get the bill, he instructed, his voice holding a commanding tone, typical of his usual demeanor.